Put your dukes up, Xbox gamers, because this week we've got a fighter's sale that's sure to be an absolute knockout. And when you're done battering lumps off each other, there's also a groovy musical adventure, an astronomical outing, and a few other bits and pieces for you to enjoy.
Just a few months ago, a new challenger for the fighting game crown came swaggering into town in the shape of King of Fighters 15. The iconic 3-on-3 fighting game returns with a stacked roster, featuring characters from all across the KOF saga. Turn the table on your enemies with the endlessly satisfying Shatter Strike mechanic, devastate them with a lightning-quick rush attack, or just pick the guy with the fire hands and let them do the rest. The deluxe version of King of Fighters 15 can be yours this week for 25% off, giving you access to the full starting roster as well as a bunch of DLC additions like the incredibly named Omega Rugal. I mean, just look at this guy. Who says no?
With over 3 decades of spinning pile drivers, hurricane kicks, and Hadoukens on its resume, the Street Fighters franchise is one of the genre's undisputed GOATs. Not convinced? Well, just take a flick through the 30th anniversary collection, which is 60% off this week. This jam-packed collection brings together 12 different titles in the series, running all the way from the 1987 original up to 1999's Street Fighter III Third Strike. Whether you have fond memories of the time you spent hunkered over an arcade machine, grew up playing the console versions, or you're about to pull off your very first Psycho Crusher, the 30th Anniversary Collection is a beautiful testament to one of gaming's most iconic franchises. For the real die-hard fans, there's even a glorious selection of 4K concept art, making of featurettes, characters' bios, and sprite viewers so you can fully immerse yourself in the brutal, bombastic world of Street Fighter.
If you'd rather try your luck in a martial arts tournament that plays it a bit more fast and loose with the rules, then Mortal Kombat 11 might be the way to go. I mean, in what world is that an acceptable way to end a combo? It might not be pretty, but, well, actually, it is all incredibly pretty thanks to a free next-gen update that lets Xbox Series X and S players batter, belittle, and behead their opponents in 4K. Plus, they get some significantly improved loading times into the bargain. Perfect for when you just have to tear somebody's spine out, like right now. If you've got the stomach for it, then Mortal Kombat is 67% off, and you'll find it in the Xbox Game Pass library as well.
If you love the mechanics of Mortal Kombat, but just really feel like you should be beating up somebody in a cape, then Injustice 2 brings in some of DC Comics' finest heroes and villains into the fray. From the Caped Crusaders themselves to lovable psychopaths like Harley Quinn, all of your favourite characters are here and ready to beat the almighty heck out of each other. If nothing else, it's sure to make you think twice the next time you consider making fun of Aquaman. And while each of these iconic characters already come pretty well prepared for a dust-up, the game's gear system lets you personalise them even further. As well as tinkering with their stats and abilities, you can make Superman a communist if you want to. If you feel like going toe-to-toe with the Batman or throwing down with Gorilla Grodd, Injustice 2 is available via Xbox Game Pass, and it's also 67% off this week. Right, moving away from the world of combat to something a little more peaceful, Kerbal Space Program is now 75% off. Although, given that it involves building rockets with guys who look like this, perhaps it won't actually be all that much more peaceful. The goal of this quirky spaceflight simulation game is to lead your team of Kerbals into the final frontier by constructing things like space planes, rovers, and rockets, ideally in a way that doesn't cause them to immediately explode. It's a hugely enjoyable process of trial and error, allowing you to experiment with all sorts of bizarre, physics-defying ideas along the way. Plus, Xbox Series X and S players get to watch it all go down in 1440p and 1080p respectively, which makes even the most catastrophic launch look kinda great. Get some practice in now, and you'll be ready to moonwalk your way across the galaxy when Kerbal Space Program 2 comes into orbit. We'll have more information about it as soon as it blips onto our radar, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell for all the latest.
Okay, that's enough science. Let's wail on each other again. WWE 2k22 is now 25% off. After taking a year out to work on some new moves and restock its steel chair supply, the acclaimed wrestling franchise returned in spectacular style earlier this year. From the ring entrances to the signature moves to the fateful moment where you hear that 1, 2, 3. Every single second of WWE 2k22 has been fine-tuned for maximum authenticity. You can rehash classic matchups, lead your own created character on their personal journey to the championship belt, or even sit back and run the show from the safety of the GM's chair. In any case, Xbox Series X and S players get to enjoy super fast load times as they play, with the whole game moving faster than Rey Mysterio on a sugar high.
For a decidedly more fantastical brand of violence, we've also got Tiny Tina's Wonderlands in this week's sale with 20% blasted off its price tag. One of the most hotly anticipated games to arrive so far in 2022, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is a Borderlands spin-off which takes place inside the tabletop adventure being played out by Tina's friends, or by the people who are too scared of her to say no, whoever was closest. Blending Borderlands' high-velocity gunplay with the tropes and trappings of a fantasy game, it provides a neat spin on the shooter-looter formula. There are spells to learn, guns to collect, and oh so many hideous monsters for you and your party to slay. And this being a Borderlands game, there's also a magical horse called Butt Stallion. Why not?
The Artful Escape was one of the biggest titles to hit Xbox Game Pass last year, blowing us all away with its hypnotic visuals, mesmerizing soundtrack, and simply immaculate vibes. And now, it's 33% off to boot. This gorgeous side-scroller stars a struggling musician named Francis Vendetti as he embarks on the adventure of a lifetime. In a sense, the real journey is the interior one he goes on as he learns to step out from his uncle's shadow and forge an artistic identity of his own. But in another sense, the real journey is the one that involves him traveling to faraway planets and meeting aliens and stuff, you know, the usual. You'll get to strum your way across the cosmos, rocking out with bizarre aliens and encountering beings of unspeakable strangeness, all of which look even more incredible in 4K on the Xbox Series X. All told, The Artful Escape is one of the most mind-meltingly cool games on Xbox, and you'd have to be some sort of square not to check it out.
Finally, we've got a game that lets you settle your differences the way that civilized people have been doing for generations, by chucking a dodgeball at them as hard as you possibly can. Dodgeball Academia takes place at a school where everyone's favourite form of playground brutality is all the rage. And the kids here live and breathe dodgeball, and the ones who aren't very good at it eat dodgeball too. It's a really silly premise that's absolutely ideal for an epic RPG about a plucky newcomer battling his way to the top. The game's unique fighting system has you taking out your opponents with all sorts of outlandish moves, steadily gaining the experience to build the deadliest dodgeball team the world has ever seen. Now 20% off, Dodgeball Academia is also one of the many awesome Humble Games titles that arrived day one on Xbox Game Pass.
If you're a gamer who thrives on combos, counters, and ferocious button bashing, then this week's sale should have been right up your alley. Hit the comments to let us know which games you'll be throwing down in, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell before tapping out. We'll see you next time.